Well, morning glory and hallelujah, everybody. It is the morning after with Nick and Big J. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to the 13th day of January 2025. Big J, Monday the 13th. Is that good luck, bad luck, or nothing?
It's bad luck.
It's bad luck?
I swear to God.
What happened today already?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fill me in.
No, I'm just I'm struggling, man. I need to get a foothold here in the year of 2025.
So far,
it is not happening.
Off to a bad start?
Bad start.
Now, anything actually revolving you personally or just things that are around you?
No, I'm mentally a sitting garbage can.
Oh, no.
Like, it's bad. It has not been a good couple weeks, and I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on.
Well, we need you, Big J.
I know. I need myself.
Hold on tight, dude.
It was a rough weekend. It sucked. I didn't end up at Craig Gas. I got a sick cat.
No.
I just...
we had dinner plans, and then you texted and was like, hey, I'm not making it to dinner. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll see you at the show. And then we're all...
It was 2 hours before the show started.
Dinner was, yeah, but we didn't... That place was so... listen, first of all, it was amazing. But second of all, we didn't get out of there until like 6:30. I mean, it was one of those deals where like it's a commitment. And then you're like, I'll meet you at the show. And so literally all of us are in the lobby of the Egyptian Theater. Adam, Liv, myself, my girlfriend, all waiting for you and Ian to show up. And we're finally, it's like 5 minutes before the show. And we're like, I guess they're not coming. I'm like, I just assumed they were. And so we went in and then we waited again outside for you after the show, thinking maybe we had missed you and you came in late. You never showed up.
Nobody bothered to check in on me.
Felt like a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, on the side of the road.
It was one of those deals where we were talking to Craig.
Yeah. After I decided I wasn't coming, I was like, oh, I just want to pass away.
Jeez, don't say stuff like that. We got to get you in some therapy time. Stat.
Yep.
And so, we missed you on Saturday for sure. It was a good time. Thank you. We saw a bunch of X-Rock listeners out there on Saturday. Hopefully they enjoyed Craig as much as we did. Of course, no Craig this week, Big J, which means we got to go back to doing all the heavy lifting on the show.
We have to work.
So we're
Which I need. I need work. I need to be here.
Do we want to check in with Kylie today, or is it just going to be a depress-a-thon?
No, I think we will, yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I don't know if we need to be even more sad and bummed out over the course of the show today. But there's that. We also have some prizes to give away. We have another Free Gas Friday coming up this Friday. We are going to give you a chance to win $200 in free gas, courtesy of the X and Walmart Fuel. So if you want to be a part of that fun, you're going to want to tune in a couple of times over today with Bad Impressions as well as Pop Culture Smackdown to get yourself qualified for Friday's drawing for $200. And on top of all that, we play some music for crying out loud. It's like we're a radio station or something. Bush kicking things off this morning on the morning after with Nick and Big J on the X.
Spanning the globe in search of news. Important stuff.
Launch newsfeed.
On the morning after with Nick and Big J.
Now, I want to preface this by letting you know that this story does not take place in the Treasure Valley proper. But still, there's a lot of people that listen to the show, Big J, that are streaming on the X's app or checking it out on xrock.com throughout the state of Idaho. We're not just, broadcast locally. We are broadcast globally. You understand that.
Of course, yes.
But this is a message for Idaho in general, and that is, guys, we got to do a little bit better job paying attention. Because, as you know, Big J, we're only 13 days into the year 2025. And all things considered, we've been pretty lucky when it comes to snow here in the Treasure Valley so far. Not to say that it's not going to happen more. And we're going to hit some a little bit here as we get further into the year. But with snow begets snow plows. You understand?
Yes.
We went through this whole little fun thing where we named the snow plows not too long ago, remember?
Yeah.
Well, you have to pay attention to when those snow plows are on the road because right now Idaho drivers are doing a really bad job. We are 13 days into the year, Big J, and so far the Idaho Transportation Department has reported there have been 4 drivers already that have driven into snow plows in the state of Idaho. That's a lot. They're like, we don't get that in 5 years.
Is it panic?
I don't know.
Is it like, I don't know what this big machine is?
I don't know what happened. Now, the latest one happened in St. Marines over the weekend, which is up in Benewell County. So it's not close to here, but there have been snowfall in other parts of Idaho. But the Idaho Transportation Department said, in all 4 of these injuries, nobody was hurt, but it's just a matter of people following too closely to snowplows or turning too quickly as the snowplow is there and running into them. So these are minor accidents, but it's a reminder that when these happen, the snowplow is also taken out of duty so that they can assess it and make sure there's no significant repairs that need to be done. And that impacts the amount of snow they can remove from the roadways. So you gotta be careful. The fourth time in the state that a snowplow has been run into, and we're only 13 days into the year. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, we all have to be a little bit more cognizant of our surroundings and make sure that we're paying attention to everything and other things around us. Head on a swivel, as we say around here, to make sure that you don't run into really one of the largest vehicles on the road. There's no reason why you should miss it. There's flashing lights. There's all sorts of stuff. So maybe not following, super close. Tailgating a snowplow is the best idea.
Probably even a sign saying,
stay
a certain
back.
amount of feet behind us.
Stay back. So I don't know the extenuating circumstances. Again, I'm not sure any of these are done because of that. I'm just saying we've hit a record, and we're 13 days into the year of incidents with snowplows.
And in the most populous part of the state, we haven't even really had the use of snowplows out on a regular basis.
That is correct.
So
just be careful, everybody.
Whoops.
Be careful. Big J, thank God for the Commanders-Buccaneers game last night, because that means there was actually a competitive ball game that was on our TV for Wild Card Weekend. It was not exactly competitive. I tried to tell Big J the Chargers weren't as good as he thought he was. He didn't believe me. Texans won that one easily, 32-12.
I would say that the Texans' defense is better than I thought that they were.
The Texans' defense has been good all year.
But this game, they were unhinged, man.
Yeah, they were
crazy.
Really good. But again, the Chargers, as I told you when you talked about it, the Chargers didn't really play anybody. They had a pretty easy schedule. And the Texans had a tough one because they were a first-place team last year. But, either way, Texans win pretty easy. They move on. They will take on the Chiefs next week. Ravens beat the Steelers pretty easily. They jumped out to a pretty easy lead, and then the Steelers kind of came back and scored 13, but they were never in that game, if we're being perfectly honest. And the Ravens ran all over them, and so they will take on Buffalo next week, who really beat the crap out of the Broncos. Broncos jumped up 7-0 early on in that game, and then Buffalo scored 31 unanswered to win very easily. The Eagles win easily as well against the Packers, 22-10. That game was close at some point, but it never was close. If you watch the game,
right.
It was just it was not good for if you're a Packer fan like I am. But I didn't expect the Packers to win. Didn't think they'd look that bad, but I didn't expect them to win. But and then the Commanders, the only road team to win this weekend with a 23-20 last-second field goal win over the Buccaneers. As the Buccaneers truly, honestly, probably should have won that game, but handed it to the Commanders on a silver platter.
Yep.
And so that's where we are. The Vikings and Rams will play today for the right to take on Detroit, I believe, right? It'll be the Eagles and the Command. No, the Commanders will take on the Lions, and the Eagles. It'll be the winner of this game will take on the Eagles next weekend in the divisional matchup. So, reminder: this game is in Glendale, Arizona tonight, so it is a neutral field. We'll see where it goes. Minnesota is favored to win by 2.5, but I saw all the pundits picking the Rams over the weekend. Big J. I don't know if you noticed that as well, but the Rams were overwhelmingly picked to win this game by all the pregame shows that were on, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, it's one of those things, too. It's like you got to prove you can win some playoff games, I guess.
So we will see how it all shakes out. I do think the Vikings win this one fairly easily, though, in my personal opinion. Big J, congratulations to Den of Thieves 2, out-surpassing what the experts thought it was going to do and knocking off Mufasa the Lion King from the top of the box office. Now, Den of Thieves 2 didn't make a ridiculous amount of money, but experts thought it would make anywhere from $8 to $10 million and probably open up middle of the pack, but it made about $15.5 million, good enough for the number one movie of the weekend, as it was the sequel to Den of Thieves, which you haven't seen. It's a really good movie. Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. are back in this particular movie. And apparently it's a little bit more fun and comedic than the first one. And so you can check it out. It's in theaters now. Mufasa the Lion King, still number 2, $13 million. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, $11 million. Nosferatu 4, Moana 2, number 5 at the box office for the movies if you wanted to go check one out. Here's your first round of important stuff. It is the morning after with Nick and Big J. It's the X Rocks. That is Lincoln Park. Heavy is the crown here on the morning after with Nick and Big J. Big J, it is something that most people would think is unattainable. But let me ask you, if you know this off the top of your head, what is the perfect credit score? If you have perfect credit, what is that score you're looking for?
Is it 860?
You're close. 850.
850, okay.
850 is the perfect credit score that you can get. Is the highest credit score you can get. And it is not easy. And if you don't believe me, believe Steve Mitchell. This is a guy from Texas that spent, essentially, he's like, I want to see how long it's going to take me to get the perfect credit score. From the day he said that's a mission I wanted to achieve to the day he finally achieved it, it was 5 years. And this is a guy that spent a lot of time figuring it out. Now, he found some strange correlations between debt and a higher score. Most people would think that having zero debt would actually raise your credit score. It does not. If you have, he had a $35,000 credit card limit that he was working with, okay? Everything else was paid off. And if he had 6% of that credit card limit, put a bunch of charges on his card, it worked against him. But when he zeroed it out, it also worked against him. And so what he found out was the sweet spot is a balance of 0.5% to 1.5%. Somewhere in that area is the perfect amount of debt to have to get your credit score up. Why that's the case, nobody will ever be able to answer that question.
Not even the credit bureau people.
No, it seems silly to me, but we have talked about this. It's because one thing that does really well for your credit score is paying bills on time on the regular. And for you to have that, you need to have some sort of debt or some sort of payment.
You need to have a bill
that you make. Right.
Yeah.
So if Steve had his house paid off, his car paid off, he had everything paid off. The only thing that he was paying on a regular basis was his credit card bills. And so he found that you can't have too much debt on those credit cards, and you can't have zero balance on those credit cards. Both will negatively impact your credit. But if you have 0.5% or to 1.5% of your credit limit and you paid that every single month, then you actually would be able to do it. Now, he finally figured that out. Again, this is a bunch of trial and error that he did to hit that sweet spot, but he did get the coveted score of 850. However, he even says, listen, I spent 5 years of my life doing this. My efforts were probably overkill. He says that his daughter gets the exact same credit card offers I do, and she has a credit history of about 4 years, so it's not like his 850 credit score is opened up some crazy, like, American Express black car.
Yeah, it sounds like he's already doing okay, paying off everything.
He kind of, I guess, somebody has to go on this journey to find out what the benefits of a perfect credit score are, and he essentially said not much. He worked his ass off and didn't get a whole lot of extra perks. I'm guessing he probably could get any mortgage or any car he wanted to, and the interest rate would be as low as it possibly could be.
He gets to qualify for that zero interest rate.
But I'm guessing he could also qualify for that if he had a credit score of, say, 750 as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to have perfect credit to get. It doesn't unlock any doors or any secret Garden of Eden that nobody else is allowed to get into, I guess. I didn't think it would anyway, but I thought maybe there'd be something at the end of that rainbow. You know what I mean?
It's all a bunch of garbage anyway.
Yeah, it's a made-up score by made-up companies to get you made-up rates. It is, we're living in a simulation, Big J. Is really what it all boils down to.
Me, man.
But, yes, listen, 5 years is a long time to put in that effort, but 850 is attainable. It's just not easy to do. And my guess is Steve,
worth it.
Steve probably makes a pretty good amount of money.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a pretty decent clip of cash to pay off everything and then mess around with your credit cards enough to figure out what the perfect credit
Let's see what we can do this month.
I mean, geez. But he had a hobby, so there's that. Morning After with Nick and Big J. We're going to check in with Mrs. Big J next to find out how the weekend was on the X Rocks. Our Man 5000 when worlds collide here on the Morning After with Nick and Big J. Every Monday we hear Big J's version of his weekend, but we realize that it's probably time to check in with somebody that really knows how the weekend went. And that is why we check in with his wife Kylie on Mondays to get Big J's weekend grade. Good morning, Kylie. How are you?
Good, doing good.
Oh, wait,
good
hang
morning.
on. My fault, Kylie. I didn't have you pressed on. Good morning, Kylie. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Thank you for getting up and joining us. We always appreciate hearing from you. Big J
thank you.
Gave us kind of like a Cliff's Note version of the weekend when the show started, and it was not a good one as far as he was concerned. Is that true?
Well, yeah, we had a pet issue at the house, but he was asleep for most of it. So he wasn't.
Jesus.
I mean, well, you were. I mean, but I didn't want to wake you, and we were having pet issues all weekend. But other than that, it was a good weekend. Besides the pet being.
I slept
sick
through
having
everything,
really
and that's
important
okay.
Well, Big
Well,
J, you did make it sound like you were caught up in the middle of it. I didn't know you were sleeping.
Emotionally, yes.
I see. Okay.
That's the
Okay.
part that, she just.
Got it.
He was a wreck. He was a wreck
you.
emotionally after we got home. Yes, and
Well-
about like how the cat was feeling.
And before. I mean, it started on Thursday. She started throwing up on Thursday.
Is this the same cat that you just went to the vet with?
No.
Oh, it's
no,
a
that's
different
in a
cat
different
altogether.
household. That's
Okay.
why I'm like, it's been rough. And I have this PTSD situation from our dog, Corky, that it's been about 2 years since we had to put him down. And so whenever any of the pets get sick, I'm just a wreck. Like, I'm useless.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Kylie agrees.
Yep,
So
very
did
true.
it just be a real kind of like making sure the pets were okay kind of weekend?
Yeah, it was, but there was like a funny story that happened though. When he was out in the living room with Mason, I was walking out through there to the kitchen, and I looked at him and I said, "Hey, when you have time, will you put your winter boots up at the top of the closet?" Just that's all I said. I kept on moving, and he comes back like a minute later. I'm in the kitchen. He goes, "I just want you to know that I put those up there immediately." And Mason looked at him like he was crazy, and he just kept staring at me. And I looked at Mason. I said, "He's trying to up his grade for the weekend." And then we started laughing because it has motivated him. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it's like she asked me, and it's like one of those things that's an open, like, yeah, whenever. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm going to do this immediately to score some points.
But you do make sure that you report back as
Yes.
well.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, all
yeah.
right.
It's like you want to make sure that the people see you putting a tip in the tip jar.
No, it makes sense. Listen,
Yeah.
you need the clout,
Hey,
and
wait.
you're looking for a good grade. I
And
get
it's
it.
like there's not a whole lot going on at the house, like outdoor. I mean, that time has passed right now. There's not a lot of outdoor stuff to do. There's not a lot of upkeeping. And so I'm like, I got to get some points wherever I can, man.
No, it makes sense. And if that's putting your boots up in the closet as quickly as you possibly can, then get those points, pal.
So
Did it help his grade, Kylie, overall, or are you on to his game?
No, he actually was amazing this weekend. He did chores left and right. I was turning around, he was doing dishes, he was doing laundry. He was shuttling back and forth, doing quite a bit of chores that I was like, wow, what's going on here? So he was doing a lot this weekend.
That sounds like a pretty good job for Big J. So what would the weekend grade be, Kylie?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to give you an A-.
What?
You did do a lot of chores. No, I'm serious. Minus the cat, you were asleep. It doesn't count. And PTSD, I take that into account. So
All right.
you did a lot of chores. You went to Dutch constantly. You're like, I'm going to Dutch. Here's 2 drinks. Like you were just popping up and like a little whack-a-mole. You were just everywhere.
Look at this. Well, listen, an
All right.
A- is
I'll take
definitely is a fantastic
I
grade.
love the sympathy votes. Thank you.
yes.
It was a rough weekend.
And
I appreciate
that definitely doesn't hurt, but it sounds like you earned that A- regardless of sympathy or not. So
Next week, I get it. Next weekend. No, not this weekend. The weekend after, I get an A+.
why is she
I
out of town?
I won't be out. I'll be out
You'll
of
be
town.
gone. Yeah. Won't be able to check in with them at all because maybe we'll check in with the Alzheimer's Association, see how you did at the at the actual thing you were supposed to attend. Kylie, thank you as always for getting up early and chatting about your husband's weekend. We appreciate you. You have a good one, okay?
You too. Bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Morning
Love ya.
after with Nick and Big J. Congratulations on A-, Big J. That's
Hey,
awesome.
Thanks, man.
Coming up, we got some important stuff. That's next on the X.
Important stuff
Launch newsfeed.
on the morning after with Nick and Big J.
Probably should have asked Kylie this when she was on the phone, but you're going to have to answer for her, Big J.
Oh, okay.
New survey out there that says 46% of women here in the United States of America would be perfectly happy and content to have their holiday lights stay up all year long. Do you think your wife would fall in this category?
No,
You don't.
I've tried.
Oh, that's right. You
I was like,
don't
let's
want.
keep them up permanently. Because here's the thing with technology now and the LED lights and stuff, you could have a nice arrangement of lights on your house.
Yeah.
And then when it becomes Christmas time, then you can change them and make them, with LED and all that stuff, make them Christmassy.
Sure. Or they're all weather kind of stuff, and they would be able to deal with the elements and everything like that. So it wouldn't be a problem to do so. And listen, I'll be honest, man. I mean, I don't know about in your neighborhood, but there's still several houses that have their lights on and keep them on at night in my area. And it's the 13th of January. So I don't think they're doing it year-round. I just don't think they've gotten around to it yet. But there is still half of Americans that think that there is an expiration date for all the tinsel and bells. January 16th was voted as the day that all the stuff needs to definitely be packed up for next holiday season. So those people that I were talking about, they have 3 days to get the job done. There definitely were regional differences. 48% of those in the northeastern part of the United States would enjoy year-round cheer. The western part of the United States has a lot less of that. We're in the 35 percentile here in the western part of the U.S., and so maybe it's because there's certainly less of a winter aspect to things maybe here in the West Coast. I mean, not here, but you could go down to California and Arizona and New Mexico. All those could be considered in the western part of the U.S. and not a lot of snow happening in that particular area. So maybe the Christmassy year-round thing doesn't really hit them as hard as it does in the Northeast, where it's cold and wintry in the winter seasons, and heck, for even part of the year. So there's something. Don't feel like you're alone if you want to have the lights up all year round. I got to give it to the NFL, Big J. They have this real passive-aggressive relationship with London. They continue to try to say they want to increase the footprint of the National Football League by planning a bunch of games in the London area, but then they send us our worst teams that we have to offer. As they try to expand the popularity to the city, they announced the franchises that are going to have quote-unquote home games in London next year. And, of course, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to be there 2 weeks next season. And then the league announced the home teams for the 2 London games next season will be the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. Blah. You know what I mean?
Well, it seems like that's always the teams.
Well, the Packers played
the Giants
there.
Are you always usually there?
I think that, the Eagles were the one this year, and so that's a pretty popular home team. I feel like they do send the teams where they have maybe less of a home field advantage than the others. But that's also, I do feel bad for getting screwed out of a home game if you're a team. It's not fair to have to make that trip and then have that be one of your home games. It's a bummer. You know what I mean?
Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars, that seems to be caught up in, their owner and, his London dealings is what it always seemed like. That was the reason. Yeah. They were always featured in the London game.
They've said if there's a franchise they're going to have moved to London, it'd be Jacksonville. But I feel like that would be catastrophic. The travel is just crazy. I mean, you've taken that flight. It's not an easy flight. And then to get up like a day or two later and try to play a game, Mayday. Would you get 3 o'clock in the morning or something bonkers? It's
your body can only do what it can, even if you're a pro athlete.
Right. No, I don't even watch those games when they're on TV, mostly because I forget they're happening. But I'm not getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning to watch a football game. Screw you.
Yeah.
With a terrible team? No way. Tell me what happens. And these people have to get up and play these games. It's crazy. Just crazy. Again, it's the hypocrisy of the NFL.
I think it would be great, a poll amongst NFL football players. What would you rather do? Continue playing your games internationally or have Thursday night football?
Oh, man. That might, because they hate them both.
Yeah.
That'd be a really interesting what if. Maybe because it's only once a year, they would choose the London thing. You know what I mean? They're not traveling all that much, but they do hate Thursday football games. Like I said, the hypocrisy of the NFL. They emphasize player safety, but they do all of these things that really are against all that, like Thursday night football and making them travel 18 hours to play a game at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's crazy. Big J, Shrek has been a gigantic moneymaker for DreamWorks movie studios. You cannot deny that. And they decided earlier last year they were going to go back to the swamp. And so they're kind of igniting the franchise with Shrek 5. But the date has been rescheduled. It will now release on December 23rd, 2026. That's next year because that will be the franchise's 25th anniversary, believe it or not.
Oh.
And all the original voice cast are coming back. And in that place, they've decided to bring up Minions 3, Big J, which I'm very confused. I believe there's 4 Despicable Me's and now 3 Minions movies. And
they all blend together.
That's exactly my problem. I don't know how many are what and what the difference is, because really a Despicable Me movie is a Minions movie when you get down to it. But it will be moving up to summer of 2026 from its original 2027 date. So they're going to be cashing in on the animated side of things for DreamWorks very, very soon. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There's your important stuff. We're going to go to hell. That's next on the X Rocks.
Light. Stories that are incredibly f***ed up. Oh, man, we're going to hell.
Let's not kid ourselves. I'm going to hell, and you know it.
The Morning After with Nick and Big J on 100.3 The X Rocks.
Big J, as with most We're Going to Hell stories, we're headed to Florida for today's story.
Florida.
It's a situation that happens from time to time involving a car crash. About 2 months ago, middle of the afternoon, like 1:45 or so, Tristan McCoomers, 28 years old. He is an employee and a patrolman with the Florida Highway Patrol. You understand?
Yeah.
And he is driving down a highway on November 6th, and he runs full bore into the back of a Toyota Corolla. Not a great look for the police department. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that seems like that's one of the. They usually are like 3 car lengths behind the person in front of them.
Yeah. But that's not great. But listen, accidents happen. Who knows?
Maybe he's looking up somebody's license plate or something.
So the other officers reported to the scene. The Lake County Sheriff's Office reported on to the actual accident, and Officer McComber said, I'm sorry, man. I was distracted. It's not great. I was on the phone with another officer at the time of the crash.
No.
And so the officers are like, cool, well, we have to take a look at your phone to document who you were talking to and get an interview from that other officer to corroborate your report. And then he said, well, actually, that's not true.
Hold on, guys. That's not what happened.
It's not what happened. I definitely was distracted, but also my squad car had mechanical issues. And then they say, okay, cool. You want to tell me what happened? And I said, sure. When the accident originally happened, I talked to the driver of the other vehicle, and I told her that the brakes had locked up in my car, and that's what caused the accident. So I believe there was a brake malfunction that caused me to run into the back of the vehicle.
The brakes locked up on you? Wouldn't that stop the car?
And then upon almost immediate inspection of mechanics from the Florida Highway Patrol, they're like, the brakes are fine on this car, officer. Would you like to take another run in this thing? And then he said, absolutely, I was distracted. I was exchanging texts with fellow officers.
We need the truth.
And so then they looked at the phone and they're like, sir, there's no text messages happening at the time of this incident. Nobody else received those. So we now have 3 different excuses as to why this particular accident happened. We know that from your body cam and your dash cam, you're definitely on your phone doing something. So we know there's some distracted driving happening. We know that you weren't paying attention so much that the airbag had to deploy in your vehicle. And we know you caused about $15,000 of damages to the vehicle in front of you. So this is a pretty significant report. We're talking about getting sued by a citizen here. We need to know what the actual truth is after 3 fallacies. And so he finally came clean, Big J. He says he was on his phone and he was looking at pornography at the time of the accident.
The guy's supposed to be policing us doing this stuff.
He admitted that he was on his phone looking at inappropriate pictures. When he was asked what the inappropriate pictures were.
Of your mom? Don't ask that.
He said, quote, like boobs and whatnot, end quote.
I was looking at boobs.
It's so funny when a grown man says boobs. Hey, no, boobs.
There's no way he said that.
No, it's a quote in the police report. Boobs or whatnot, end quote.
This dumb idiot.
He said that he was looking at images that did contain nudity. And so he originally planted it off as a defective anti-lock brake system. He, again, said that he placed call to another officer. He was trying to give any excuse that these people would buy, but when it comes to...
Sounds like a dumb, ordinary citizen trying to get out of something.
Inflicting that much damage upon an unsuspecting vehicle where you're at fault and the city's going to pay for it, you better believe they're going to follow up and make sure whatever report they have is factual. So he dug himself into a pretty significant hole and then had to finally admit the truth on the way out. So, he got in trouble. He was in a violation of several professional standards. He's placed on leave, but he hasn't been charged with any kind of crime or anything like that. He's been a deputy since 2021. Do not know how long this leave is. I don't know. I'd be shocked with the union that he lose his job over this, but it feels like this is a dumb thing to lie over. I don't know You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
it seems
trust.
like it's probably just good practice for him being a corrupt cop down the road, you know? Because let me tell you, they sure seem to be able to get a lot of evidence here when there's some situations we can't seem to get any evidence in a case involving a police officer at all.
Yeah.
But they got body cam footage. They know everything that this guy's doing all of a sudden.
But I mean, that's the other side to this
Why
coin.
would you even entertain doing something that stupid?
Right. That's my other
When
thing.
there's so much oversight.
You know you have a dash cam. You know you have a body cam. You know all just the bravado that you're like, I'm going to look at porn on my phone while I'm driving and I'm being filmed doing this, and then I'm going to lie about it until the truth is uncovered.
He also knows how they get information off of a phone, and that anything on there is going to come up as like a red alert.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe he thought somebody, maybe one of the other officers probably would have stepped up to him and said, yeah, he was on the phone with me. But when they check the cell records, that's when that stuff comes falling apart. And so,
is this what you really want to get in trouble for? Covering another officer and your blue line? And
I don't know, man.
Because he's looking up porn?
Porn at work is a brave thing to try.
The only way you get away with that is if you do a morning show.
Right. Then you can do some searches that you're like, hey, show prep. Morning After with Nick and Big J. Like, I was just looking up cops to look at porn, not actual porn. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There is your We're Going to Hell story. It is the X Rocks. And to see there, that is Fake It here on the Morning After with Nick and Big J. And Big J, I don't have to tell you, man, it is hard being at the top of things, you know?
Yes.
And for a good 3-year stretch, Big J, from 2020, 2021, and 2022, according to a lot of different places, including Zillow, the hottest real estate market in the country was Boise, Idaho. Do you remember those days?
Unfortunately, yeah.
When we had the hottest housing market in the country and everybody was clamoring to get a piece of it. And then things started to calm down, and they calmed down quick. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was going to say, right before that happened, we were considering, moving to a bigger house closer to town, et cetera. And then that happened. It's like, oh, we're not going to be able to do that.
The problem is the real estate market is a lot slower to let things go than the reality of the situation. For instance, if the pandemic, really, that's when things started to kick up here in the Treasure Valley with the housing side of things. Pre-pandemic, if you purchased a house, it was something that you could consider. Now, despite the fact that the real estate market has cooled down, the prices for houses still pretty expensive to get yourself a house in the Treasure Valley. And for a very long time, Big J, finding a house, period, was difficult. We just didn't have the inventory for the people that were looking to purchase a house. Now,
couldn't build them fast enough.
There's houses all over the place with nobody in them, and that's another problem altogether. But I bring this up because Zillow has released their hottest housing markets for the second straight year, and Big J, Buffalo is at the top of the list. Buffalo, New York has been the hottest real estate market in the last 2 years. It's based on a lot of things: expected home value appreciation, job growth, average mortgage payments, the average number of days the house stays on the market. And again, for 3 straight years, Boise was number 1 on this list. And homes in Buffalo are selling like hotcakes. The top 10 are as follows: Indianapolis, Indiana; Providence, Rhode Island, number 3; Hartford, Connecticut, number 4; Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, number 5; St. Louis, Missouri, 6; Charlotte, North Carolina, 7; Kansas City, Missouri, 8; Richmond, Virginia, 9; Salt Lake City, Utah, 10. Big J, what amazes me about this list is literally 3 years after we were the number 1 market in the country, we are no longer in the top 50. Zillow has put together the top 50 real estate markets, and Boise isn't in the top 50 anymore. I mean, we have fallen off the map when it comes to real estate, which is crazy when you think about it. For as high as we were just a few short years ago, and now we're not there at all. And the biggest problem, at least according to Zillow, is the average number of days a house stays on the market is now incredibly long. It's not as short as it once was. The average mortgage payments have gone significantly higher than when we were at the top of the list. And of course, we don't have a lot of job growth in Boise. That's a problem. And home appreciation value, also a problem, because the cost of homes are so high in Boise now, it's tough to appreciate from what you purchased your home at. when it's at that level. It usually stays or it falls a little bit. Anybody who owns a home knows your home value it has probably dropped a couple of thousand in the last 3 years. I know mine has. It's not at its peak as what it once was. It's now a couple thousand, 10,000, 15,000 below what that was a couple of years ago. And so it has depreciated in value over those years. That becomes a problem as well. So it is crazy how that tide moves, but you wouldn't know it looking at the amount of prices a home is or rent is here in the Treasure Valley. And that's the thing. Once you hit that mark, it's very difficult to go back from it, or they don't want to go back from it.
I mean, obviously it's like, hey, this is worth this, but it's really not, and it never was.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. And that's a problem because, when you become hot, that's when a bunch of buyers come in, and a bunch of buyers probably, quite frankly, if we're going to be honest, have lost their ass on building real estate here in Boise, Idaho, because the market has cooled down and they can't fill these houses. But materials and labor were so high when they built it, they have sunk so much cost into this house. They need to sell it at a number that is, quite frankly, pretty crazy in order to even break even. And so that's a problem with the Boise real estate market at this particular point. And I don't know how you go back from that. And because, again, these companies aren't going to sell these homes at a loss. They'd rather have them sit empty than sell them at a loss. And so that becomes a problem. And that's when your real estate market becomes an issue, especially with the rate of growth here in the Treasure Valley and the lack of salary and job growth here in the Treasure Valley. That becomes an issue. And it's finally caught up to us a couple of years later, going from the hottest real estate market in the country to out of the top 50. It's kind of crazy how quickly we have fallen. You see, these markets that are in the top 10 have kind of consistently been in that area for the last decade or so. And Boise has fallen off the map, it should be a point of concern if you're in the real estate market, I would think. I don't know a lot about it. I don't pretend to know a lot about it, but you don't see things fall off the map like this very, very much. And it should probably be at least a topic of conversation.
And look, you just made it.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. Now having somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, giving us some details as to how that's going to change would be
let's bring him in.
Nice.
The expert. I don't know.
You got a real estate expert we can talk to?
No.
All right.
Do you?
No. I just thought it was interesting that we were number one. Now we're out of the top 50. Because we carried a lot of pride with that for a while, if you remember, about how Boise State. And now, listen, we still make nicest place to live kind of lists. We're still rolling around in the top 10 there. But we used to be a hot real estate market for a lot of things, and now we're paying the price for being that real estate market. So keep an eye on Buffalo, New York, which, by the way, not exactly a large market. We'll see how it looks in 3 years when everybody goes in and takes care of it. Now, the climate is much different there, and the amount of land they have is a lot different there, too. Remember, we had some places you could build here in Boise at the time. Now all those are used up. But it's interesting to see what will happen here in a couple years with Buffalo being on the top of this list for a couple years now. Morning After with Nick and Big J coming up in a few minutes. Some important stuff and your pop culture smackdown. Hold tight. It's the X.
Important stuff.
What's going on in the news today?
The Morning After with Nick and Big J.
Once again, Big J, we're going to have you follow the money for today's survey.
Okay.
One out there that says if you want to be a successful person in the United States of America in the year 2025, you better live in a clutter-free home, according to 70% of Americans. Now, 70% is an overwhelming number of people to say that you need to live in a clutter-free home if you want to be successful. I would venture to say I don't think 70% of Americans live in clutter-free homes. How about that?
Yeah, probably not.
But they found that if you want to be considered successful or have a lot of success, you can't be surrounded by unorganization and things that are everywhere. And I suppose there's some correlation there, but it still feels like it's a bit heavy-handed to me. And I'm somebody that likes to stay organized and isn't very cluttered. I don't feel like, I'm not sure how much that is indicative of how successful or unsuccessful a person is, if that makes sense. But then you follow the money and you find out where the survey came from, Big J. Any guesses?
Let's go with the organization store.
You're close. It's a place called the Container Store.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. But yes, I've been to the Container Store.
Yeah, did you buy anything there?
Yeah, we bought a couple things.
All right.
It's nice.
Did it help you get organized?
It can help, yeah.
Did it help you live a clutter-free
No.
life? Okay.
No.
Yeah, see, so, I mean, again, if it's coming from a place whose job it is to sell you things to help you get organized, of course they're going to give you a study that says you better be organized if you want to be successful, pal.
I feel this, though, right now, and I believe it's true, though. The more cluttered your space is, especially where you work, I think the more difficult it gets. Like, my area at home, my studio is very cluttered with all kinds of stuff, and it's overwhelming. I've been trying to work through it.
I 100% believe that if you have an organized and you live somewhat of a lifestyle where you don't have clutter everywhere, that makes it easier on you to do things. There's no doubt about it. I would say 100% of people should believe that. I do not believe, however, if you have a bunch of stuff on your table, you're not going to be a successful person. I just don't have that correlation between those two things. I think you can be successful and also be unorganized. I think there's a path that's easier for you, but I don't think the amount of clutter you live in, again, defines you as a person, as somebody that is successful or unsuccessful.
It could be, too, like it's art in the eye of the beholder. Like some people's clutter is other people's organization.
Sure.
To some degree.
Yeah.
But, I mean, some things are messy. Things are messy.
Yes. Whether you feel comfortable or not in that environment is a different thing altogether. If you are happy in that environment is a different thing altogether. But to say that those things correlate between how successful you are seems to be a touch of a stretch to me. But, and listen, I'll tell this Container Store to their face. Where is the Container Store here in Boise?
Not here. It was in Salt Lake.
Got it. The wild card weekend was underway, Big J. We had ourselves a bunch of games, 5 in total. We have one tonight between the Vikings and the Rams in Arizona. That's going to kick off around 6 o'clock our time on ESPN and ABC. If you'd like to watch the final card, the game of the weekend, to see who takes on Philadelphia. There were a bunch of just blowouts this weekend and not very good football games, save the Commanders and Buccaneers. And even then, you could kind of say it was a little bit sloppy and ugly, but at least it was competitive. And so there was that. I mean, I think the Buccaneers handed that game away with a late fumble to give the Commanders an opportunity to take the lead and grab the win as time expired, but they won 23-20 in the nightcap last night. Eagles won very easily against the Packers in the middle of the game. Bills won even easier against the Broncos in the early game, and then we had a couple of blowouts on Saturday as well. Texans winning pretty easily against the Chargers, and the Ravens winning very easily against the Steelers. The home teams were 4-1 so far. Rams technically at home tonight, although again, I remind you, it's a neutral site, so I don't even think you can count that as a home game. You'd be silly if you did. It's not like everybody's making the trek to go check it out, and so it's just going to be an interesting matchup, and it sucks because, well, listen, first of all, the Vikings have a better record, so if you believe in reseeding, you would think that the Vikings should want this one at home. But the Rams earned the right to have a home game in the playoffs. It's a bummer. I understand why it's happening. It just sucks that is taken away from them at the most opportune time that you would want to have a home game.
And, I mean, can we really expect the Rams to be able to come out and play a great game with everything that's going on? I mean, it seems like it would be a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a rough state of affairs tonight. But Vikings are favored by 2.5 in this one. So the away team, although they were favored even when the game was scheduled to be in LA as well, Vikings have been pretty good this year. We'll see if they can pull it off technically on the road in Arizona tonight as we get ready. But other than that, we know that the Texans are going to be taking on the Chiefs. We know that the Ravens are going to be taking on the Bills. We know that the Commanders are going to be taking on the Lions. And now we're just waiting to see who ends up paying the Eagles at home.
That Ravens-Bills game's going to be something.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good matchup earlier this season. The Bills ran them out of the stadium, but I don't know if that'll be the same this time around. But it will be in Buffalo again, so we'll see.
I think you're going to get full Derrick Henry.
So we will see. Yeah, I mean, the Broncos could run the ball a little bit there at the beginning, but Buffalo did whatever they wanted to do in that game. So we shall see how it all goes down on the divisional weekend next weekend. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There's your important stuff. We got your Pop Culture Smackdown. It's happening next on the X Rocks.
Here's traffic.
Pop Culture Smackdown. On the Morning After with Nick and Big J.
Let's hook it up, man. Pop Culture Smackdown style. Morning After prize package alert here. We'll get you tickets to the Not Red Hot Chili Peppers. That show happening Saturday at the Knitting Factory. Get you in there for that, and you're qualified for some free gas, baby. $200 worth of it, brought to you by Walmart and the X. We'll get you qualified here if you can beat Nick and Pop Culture Smackdown.
All right, that's
Whoa.
right. We have reversed the roles, and I forgot about that, and I wrote all these questions, and now
I can go ahead
I'm
and save
closing
it.
the document, and I will have to worry about
You
that next
forgot
time.
about it, or you didn't think I was serious?
No, I remember. I just completely spaced it until you literally just said that. But yes, 208-287-1003. I forgot the roles were reversed.
Could have gotten away without doing work.
You really could have today if you wanted to. Let's see how it goes. Hello, the X.
Hey, how's it?
Hey, man, what's up? What's your name?
Zach.
All right, Zach, you're up first.
David Arquette and his fellow Scream cast member got married and then divorced many years later. Who was that? Was it Courtney Cox, Neve Campbell, or Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox is 100% right. Nick, this actor has played a doctor in a couple of TV series, but most notably as Dr. Derek Shepherd in Grey's Anatomy.
Patrick Dempsey.
That is correct.
Right.
Before getting swept up in the Sharknado flicks, Tara Reid starred in one other film series. Was it Scream, American Pie, or Halloween?
American Pie.
American Pie is correct. Nick, Tara Reid shared a Worst Screen Couple Razzie nomination with what actor? Was it Ashton Kutcher, Ian Ziering, or Ryan Reynolds?
Okay, so I'm trying to think. I know she was in Sharknado with Ian Ziering, so that could definitely be a possibility. My gut tells me she was also in a movie with Ashton Kutcher, but I don't know which one that would be. And I don't know if she ever was in a movie with Ryan Reynolds. So I'm going to go with my gut and one that I definitely know they were together in, and I'm going to say Ian Ziering in Sharknado.
That is incorrect.
Was it Ashton Kutcher?
It was Ashton Kutcher in My Boss's Daughter. But Ryan Reynolds, she was in Van Wilder.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Van Wilder. That's right. Okay. I should have known the Razzies probably wouldn't have gone as B because it wasn't released in theaters. I should have known better. Hey, congratulations, Zach. You've got yourself tickets to go check out the Red Hot Chili Peppers this Saturday at the Knitting Factory. You're also qualified for Free Gas Friday. $200 of gas could be coming your way on Friday. Hold on tight. We'll get some information from you and make sure you're good to go.
Good job, man.
Oh, thank you for giving me multiple choices. It was my own death rattle there. Morning After with Nick and Big J. Your headlines, they're next on the X Rocks.
News you can barely use. It's headlines on the Morning After with Nick and Big J.
God, Big J, you remember headlines?
No.
Let's do these. You can't park there. You can't eat that. Or you can't do that.
Well, I can't here. You can't eat that, sucker.
Belgium's Food Safety Agency has had to release a couple of statements and warning residents they have to stop eating Christmas trees, Big J.
What?
This comes after the city of Ghent published a statement recommending using dried needles to make, quote, delicious spruce needle butter. However, Belgium's Federal Agency for the Safety of the Food Chain issued a statement reminding citizens that trees are often treated with pesticides and other chemicals, and, actually trying to turn these into any kind of butter of any kind is not a really good idea. The suggestion on the City of Ghent's page now comes with a warning, quote, not all Christmas trees are edible. So that's good to know, Big J.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really want to eat food in Europe. Mostly because our food comes with pesticide on it.
Yeah, we're used to all that pesticide stuff.
Yeah.
You need those chemicals to make it taste good. You can't park there, or you can't do that.
You can't do that.
13 prisoners are now on the loose in Zambia, Big J, after a drunken officer allegedly freed them on New Year's Eve. Officials say that Titus Perry seized the keys from a constable and released them from a police station in Kanema. Now, Perry reportedly told the prisoners that they, quote, were free to cross over into the new year. Perry then also fled the scene. He was apprehended, but the 13 prisoners he released are still at large. They've been charged with offenses ranging from assault to burglary and all sorts of other things, but I guess that was their New Year's Eve present, and they were able to get on the loose, so now they're on the look for these 13 prisoners.
Not American prisoners, clearly. They didn't kill the guy.
No, it's just battery and burglary. So it is definitely
thanks,
different.
guys. See you later.
Bye. Happy New Year. I don't know what kind of system they have in place where a drunken officer could seize the keys. I don't know what happened to that poor constable, or if he just gave him the keys thinking he was working. I'm not sure. But either way, as a prison break was on. Wrap it up with you can't park there. Police in Colorado responded to a call about an illegally parked car, which they've done many times, but this one was much different because it was smack dab in the middle of a ski slope. According to the Summit County Sheriff's Office, a driver apparently was following their GPS directions, took a wrong turn, which brought him right onto the School Marm ski run at the Keystone Resort. Skiers were swooshing down the slopes, and they were shocked to see a parked car right there in the way. Driver was not in the vehicle when police arrived, but left a note on the window explaining what happened. Police called in a tow truck to remove the car. It's since been returned to its owner, hopefully with a little bit of some reprimandation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just leave your car on a ski slope. And where did he go or she go, right?
It's weird that you even get up to a ski slope.
If you're in the middle of a ski slope, where is your ass going to go? You got to go up or down, presumably
to
down.
the lodge for some hot cocoa.
I guess.
And chili.
And leave a note on your car. Sorry, wrong park here.
Hope you made it over.
Yeah. Let me know when you tow my car back to me. Thanks. LOL. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There are your headlines. You're up to date on pretty much everything. It is the X-Rocks.
Here's
182, all the small things on the Morning After with Nick and Big J, and I'm excited. Big J has a hypothetical situation for me.
Yeah,
Go.
there are a lot of advances, Nick, in medical technology, and here's an interesting one for you, a hypothetical. If you could erase bad memories and stop traumatic flashbacks, would you do that if you could?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind style?
Sure, I guess. Well, I mean, yeah, to a certain degree.
I don't know. I don't think I would. I think that even though the bad things that have happened in my life are bad and I don't like thinking about them, I still believe you can learn valuable lessons from them, i.e. not to make the same mistakes again that cause those things to happen or cause those people to be in your life, because you are who you are because of the path that you have taken, both good and bad. So I think maybe you catch me a couple years ago before therapy, I'd probably give you a different answer. But now I realize that how much those mistakes and some things, because, listen, there's lots of terrible things that happen to people. Some of them are you play a role in, and some of those things just happen to you out of pure circumstance. But regardless of what happens, they shape you as to who you are as a human being and how you deal with situations like that. And knowing how you react to those things can help you in the future. So I would say hard pass, but thank you.
Yeah, I would say, though, a lot of people who have had trauma done to them
Yes.
Might have a different story. Well, good news, I guess, in some regards here. Oh, no, I just lost the article I was reading. Researchers have found a way to essentially erase some of those bad memories and those events. It's not an easy thing, and you kind of have to go into a deep dive, but they are working steadily on trying to do that to, it's not quite like Men in Black, like, look at the thing. Shh,
Yeah, is it like a
gone.
surgical procedure?
No, it's not a surgical procedure. It's almost like, from what I was reading, in a small line of like brainwashing. But obviously, this is early on in their research, and they've managed to accomplish this and have done this, but obviously would like to refine the process and make it easier and more effective. But I think that, I think there's a degree of like things where there are traumatic things that your body and your mind do as an emergency response that we have no control over.
Right.
And, trying to put some of those to bed, just like some of the things I've been going through recently. I don't know why or how I became so traumatized by, putting down a dog, Nick, but...
Well, you know exactly how or
Well,
why.
no, I don't really. I
it's
do
the
know
connection
some of
to
it.
your mom. That's
Yes,
exactly
I
what
understand that, but even understanding that, there's no way to roll that back and to be able to, at least so far,
that being
fix
said,
that.
would you want to erase Corky from your memories? That's a terrible thing to do. You
please,
would.
God. Oh, please.
See, these are things that again, it's a personal preference that I don't understand. If that's what you would want to do, I understand. I would think that having that time with that family member would be important to you. But like, let's give you an example of something where I totally would understand. Let's say you're somebody that walks out of your house one day and just by sheer circumstance, you get hit with something or it incapacitates you and it injures you significantly and traumatizes you to the point where you do not want to leave your house. These are things where I would understand why you would go, here, I need to get over this hump.
Yeah.
This is not something that I had done to me. I didn't learn or grow from this experience. I wasn't a part of it.
I was victimized.
I was an innocent bystander, and now it changes my life and makes me not want to do things that would make me live a normal life. And I need to be able to overcome this in order to take the next steps or get back to something resembling normalcy. Then I understand those kind of things. But like, if you had a girlfriend that you don't like anymore and you want to forget them, that's like child stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to get over something like that. Even if there's some sort of trauma involved in that kind of thing, I do think you would go, I don't want to make those same mistakes again, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Right there with you.
So, but having that as an option, I think, is a good thing to have for some people that want to take that step, as long as it's not abused and treated, like herky jerky.
Here's what happens, though. We do these things. When these things happen, just like all the medications on the market right now to lose weight, it's like, I need to lose 10 pounds. But this is for people who have diabetes, a dangerous disease.
Give me that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yes, this will, I'm sure, be abused and then turned around and go, I wish I wouldn't have done something like that. And then you have a total recall situation, Big J. And that didn't turn out great either. Next thing you know, you're on Mars and your eyes balls are popping on you.
Consider this a divorce.
It's not great. Morning After with Nick and Big J. Coming up in a few minutes, your bad impressions. They're next on the X Rocks.
Dear winner. Impressions.
So far, I'm not impressed.
On the Morning After with Nick and Big J.
Yeah, let's get you lined up with some prizes, huh? Morning After prize alert here. We have got tickets to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's happening Saturday at the Knitting Factory. It will be a great show. We'll get you those tickets. And you are also going to be qualified to win $200 in gas. Free Gas Friday. Happening Fridays here at the X Rocks, thanks to Walmart and the X. So we'll get you qualified for that. If you can figure out bad impressions here, 3 clues, and you're going to be a celebrity. Not a household name yet, Nick, but probably will be here anytime soon.
All right. That means it might be challenging today to get this thing right.
Get your Google ready.
You think you're up to the challenge? You better get your tail on the phone. 208-287-1003. That's the number you need to call if you want these tickets to Saturday night show at the Knitting Factory and get qualified for $200 in free gas. For Free Gas Fridays, Big J's going to give you 3 clues. Hopefully you can figure it out in those 3 clues or less. Good luck to everybody. Big J, are you ready?
Yep.
To the phones we go. Hello, the X.
How's it going?
Good, man. What's your name?
Jeff.
All right, Jeff, you're up first. Good luck.
I'm a French-American actor who's nominated early in my career for a role in the movie Call Me By Your Name.
Okay, next one.
I dusted off that golden ticket and brought the world of Willy Wonka to musical form in Wonka.
All right, next one.
Do you believe in Paul Atreides? I sure do, because I played him in Dune and Dune 2.
Cannot quite think of the guy's name. I'm going to have to tap out on this one.
It's all good. I feel like if you're
you.
female from like 19 to 25, you know who this is right off the bat. Hello, the X. Sound good, Big J.
That sounds great.
Hello, the X.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man. I know you heard at least one of Big J's clues. Would you like to hear the rest?
Sure.
Fire one.
All right, we'll start from the top just so you can catch up here. I'm a French-American actor who was nominated early in my career for a role in the movie Call Me By Your Name. I dusted off that golden ticket and brought the world of Willy Wonka to musical form in Wonka. And do you believe in Paul Atreides? I sure do, because I played him in Dune and Dune 2.
Oh, brother. Timothy Chalamet?
We'll take it.
Hey, good job, man. Hang on 1 second. We'll hook you up with those Red Hot Chili Peppers tickets.
Charlemet.
And we'll also get you qualified for Free Gas Fridays. Well done. Why is Timothy Chalamet in the news?
He's going to be hosting SNL on the 25th, Nick, but it's not just the regular hosting. He's doing both duties. He's going to be doing the music as well. So
duties.
He is going to be doing a couple songs from the movie Complete Unknown, which, of course, is the biopic of Bob Dylan. So he's going to sing a couple of the Bob Dylan songs that he sang for the movie.
Hey, do you care at all about this? This Bob Dylan thing? This movie?
The movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't get into the music biography stuff very much.
Are you a Bob Dylan fan? We'll start there.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm not.
I'm very hit and miss as well. I mean, I know that it's probably going to be good. I've heard a lot of good things. I'm sure it's a good movie, but my interest level is fairly low on this just because I'm not a Dylan diehard. I could take or leave him for the most part. I certainly respect what he has done for music and certainly hold him up to be an icon. It's just not in my wheelhouse for things that I enjoy. And so I don't disparage anybody for loving him and wanting to be a part of this, but I'm not super like you. Did you ever watch Inside Llewellyn Davis, the Coen Brothers movie?
No.
I love that, and it kind of touched a little bit on the Dylan start as well, kind of like by proxy. He was like involved in the Dylan stuff, and so I enjoyed that part. Where I was like, do I want to see a whole movie about? Partly is because Dylan, I think, is just not a very interesting person. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, he's not very charismatic or have a lot of personality. So, like, do I want to watch somebody mumble for 2 hours?
I'm going to wait for the Jacob Dylan movie bio. You know?
You'll watch The Wallflower, but not a complete unknown? Got it. Morning After with Nick and Big J. There's your bad impression. We'll wrap up the show here next on the X Rocks. That is 3 Days Grace. That is May Day. Wrapping up the Morning After with Nick and Big J. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Monday. Always nice to see you guys on a new week. We had a chance to see Big J get an A- for the weekend, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a sympathy vote.
Well, listen, whatever it takes, right, to get across that finish line and get you those good grades. We weren't above it in high school to try for sympathy, were we?
That's right.
So congratulations on that A- grade for the weekend. You're certainly amazing and happy that you got it. Of course, we also had a chance to give away some Red Hot Chili Peppers tickets for Saturday, as well as get people qualified for Free Gas Friday, which is $200 in free gas coming up this Friday. We'll give away another $200 courtesy of Walmart Fuel here and the X. And we even had a chance to talk about how you should not be watching pornography at work, especially if you're a police officer. But that leaves you with the floor, Big J.
Yeah, we kind of talked about clutter a little bit earlier, Nick, but even more impressive is the fact that today is National Clean Your Desk Day.
You got some work to do, buddy.
So, well, listen.
It's not your fault. I know.
My immediate area is pretty, well crafted, but yeah, I was like, maybe that's part of my problem is I need to get that stuff to the basement. You give me a big box.
Not even the basement. The talk was that empty office that's next to the prize closet is supposed to be where all this stuff is being stored. But I believe we want to task somebody to do it because we don't want to do it ourselves. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I'd be happy to get some of that out of there. So might have to at some point.
You may have to start putting together a pile of things that you want moved out of that area and stuff that you want to keep in that area. And then that would make it easier. And then I could tell somebody to get that job done. How about that?
Look at you.
We can work together.
Big boss Nick.
To get your area cleaned.
As Adam likes to say, big boss Nick.
And have you... your work area back to normal so that you can clutter that all up with junk that you want.
My own stuff.
Yes,
my own clutter.
And not stuff from our old studio. That's exactly what that place needs to be. So clean your desks today, everybody, and good luck. Morning After with Nick and Big J. That's it for us. Jason Drew is up next. We'll see y'all tomorrow. It's the X Rocks.
Nick and Big J.